Oh, wasn't sure if it was going to work because it was circling forever saying going live. Hi, everybody. Jax West from Stephen Avery Project, Justice with Jax, and MAM Gossip on Facebook. And let me put this out there right away from the beginning. I'm not feeling so great. And as the day progresses, I'm just feeling a little bit more run down. I went yesterday to get a COVID test and waiting on the results. So don't know. So if I seem a little blah, it's because I'm feeling blah. And hello, Bryce and Ash and Kimmy, who have already commented. I also want to say from the beginning, today's episode is on the Betty Broderick case. And so I have watched the two subcat the two made for TV movies that Meredith Baxter starred in. And then a while ago, like a year ago, I watched that Dirty John series on the Betty Broderick case on Netflix. I didn't rewatch that for this. But then I've also been all over on YouTube watching her trial and her interview with Oprah, her kids' interview with Oprah, different interviews with her. So I am not going off of just this TV movie that I guess when it came out, it was this huge hit that garnered her a lot of supporters who which it makes me feel on this case, I am on the opposite side from the Stephen Avery case, where in the Stephen Avery case, you've got your guilters who are like, you people are all just going off of this one-sided documentary, which I don't agree. I do not believe that documentary is one-sided, and I know so many of Stephen's supporters have done their homework. Well, now I feel that way about people who defend Betty Broderick, that I don't even know by just watching those two TV movies why you would just um want to defend her. So I have been warned that many of Betty Broderick's supporters can get quite nasty if you don't worship her, but I'm not afraid of a fight. So come at me, bro. And Bryce is reminding everyone that there's 10 people watching, 11 people watching currently, and only 3 likes. I guess it's a big thing on YouTube that you hit to like it, and then we also need people subscribing. The more people who subscribe, then the easier it is when people search for these topics that they'd be able to find this video. So make sure you hit to like and subscribe. I'm going to do this episode like I've done some in the past, that while I watch things, I took notes. So we're going to go over my notes in order of the things that I watched and discuss from there. So the first episode, or the first movie, was called A Woman Scorned. And so Betty and Dan Broderick had 4 kids. And right away you see them fighting in front of the kids and Betty threatening to divorce him. You see that there is a new woman hired at Dan's work, that Dan is instantly attracted to this woman. And Betty suspects an affair. Then this new woman is given a promotion and more money. So she's climbing that ladder. Was it by merit or was it by affair with Dan? We see that Dan gives Betty this big ring for Christmas, and apparently she had asked for a ring, but then this wasn't the ring she asked for. And she was upset, and Dan said he liked this one better than the one she wanted. And then they get into a fight in front of the kids, and people go both ways on the whole ring thing. When my husband number 1 proposed to me, he surprised me with an engagement ring with, so there was no input from me whatsoever. And he picked out a ring that he liked, that he thought would look good on me. Did I really love that ring? No, but I loved that he loved it and it made him think of me. So I took it that way, where Betty instantly is taking it as an attack. Hey, Debbie. So the next thing we see in the movie is that Betty and Dan go out to dinner where he tells her that he's moving out. They had been married for 16 years at this time. Um, I was appalled at doing this out in public, but Dan also said because of the way she behaves, he thought doing it in public might prevent one of her big tantrums. Next scene is she drops one of their sons at Dan's house, not knowing if he's home or not, just basically kicking the kid out of her car and making him sit on his dad's steps waiting for an adult. Then she's showing up at Dan's house uninvited, without letting people know she's coming, that she'll just show up and go in because the kids are at the house. She was there at one time that Dan and the receptionist girlfriend isn't, and she sees this cake that she had made, the girlfriend had made. So she takes that cake and smears it all over Dan's bed. When she was served with divorce papers, she then broke into his house and trashed it. Right, Bryce. In real life, I believe she dropped each kid off one by one. Yes, she did that on miscellaneous occasions that she dropped off her kids. The thing that the movies was, and I think I have notes later on in here from that's not movie. I'm just going by the movie right now. But their 4 kids were 2 girls and 2 boys. The 2 girls were older, and so at the time this was happening, these 2 girls didn't live with either parent. They were both out on their own, 19 and 18. It was only the 2 boys that were minors. Um, where was I? So she trashes the house when she's served with the divorce papers, and so he gets a restraining order. They need to sell the house, and she's like demanding $1 million for the house and just trying to she's making everything difficult, more difficult than it has to be. We see her leaving a nasty message on his answering machine, which is something she did on the regular, where she will trash him and call him names and his girlfriend names. And hold on one second. Hold on. Hold, please. This is this is like really important here that just came in. Let me find it. Um, mm, 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 mm. Hold, please. It's my result of my COVID test. Uh, View results. Not detected. A detected result is considered a positive test result. Not detected result was not present in the sample. So value not detected. I do not have coronavirus. Woohoo! Okay. So I just don't feel good and can't taste anything. Yay for me. Um okay. Where was I? Okay, so in the movie at this point, yeah, you need hold music. Should I have I could have sung for you. Um she couldn't get a lawyer at this time, and she was blaming her husband Dan because he was a lawyer. And she's she just wants to blame him, yet her attitude never came into play there. Um she actually said in the TV movie, I don't know if this is something that she really said, but I put it in capital letters in my notes. I will not be ignored. So total fatal attraction, I will boil your bunny, with these messages. She leaves her own dinner party saying that she's gonna go talk to Dan when she found out that he had sold the house. When she gets there, she screams at him once again in front of the kids. And then we see her drive her car into the door of his house. Her children are there. And she's so mad, she drives the car into the house. Yeah, it didn't drive through the house, but you just don't know. She could have killed her own children. And she can't control her anger, and her children's safety is at risk. Um the cops show up. They talk to her. She's got no remorse for what she's just done. Then we see on Christmas, she breaks into his house again. Her oldest daughter was there and saw her. Betty starts randomly opening presents, one of which was a present that that daughter had got for her mom. Betty slaps her daughter. Then when they go to court, Betty doesn't behave. She's mouthing off in court. And then eventually she is not awarded any custody or visitation because she is not in court. But is it really because she's not in court? Or is it because of her behavior? And see, she she makes it out like Dan was stealing her kids from her, but she dropped them off at his house. So he wasn't looking for custody. Truly. I really think he would have preferred not to have had the kids. He had the young new girlfriend who later becomes his wife. I'm sure they would like some time to themselves, not immediately be a family of 6. So the court is giving him the kids because she's leaving these messages, she's trashing the house, she's abandoning the kids on his porch, she's driving a car through his house. So she can't just try and claim that she was duped into not showing up for court, um, on why she lost the kids and say that this was some scam on Dan's part. This is the court looking out for the best interests of the kids, and being with her is not in their best interest. Um, mm, 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 mm. We see a scene of that, um, one of Betty's friends now dumps Betty for she's friends with Dan and Linda too and can't be friends with both. So then Betty calls to leave another nasty message on Dan's machine. Her youngest son, and or wasn't her youngest son, can't remember which one now, hears it but picks up, and she calls her young son a little traitor for him just telling her that she has to stop saying bad things, that they can't come live with her because of her calling and saying bad things about Linda and their dad. And so please just stop doing that so we can be with you. And she calls him a little traitor for that. Dan proposes to Linda. Betty then tells the kids that they will lose their dad to Linda and that Dan and Linda will have new kids and will completely forget about them. And then she says, "I will always love you, especially since your father has stopped." I don't know how any I I know there's so many people who have sympathy from her from only seeing that movie, and I've got 0 sympathy. I'm sorry, I just don't. Maybe I've got a heart of stone. Um, when you see the dad talk to the kids about the separation and divorce and now him getting married to Linda, what I write in my notes is, you see dad saying all the right things to the kids. He wasn't saying anything negative about their mother, nothing. He was saying what one should say to the children when a marriage breaks up the family. Um, Betty buys a gun. Then we hear her leave another nasty voicemail. She hangs up, calls back. Dan picks up this time and tells her that he is going to give her a fine for every vulgar message that she leaves on his machine out of the $16,000 a month that he is giving her. Now, the 16 grand a month at this time that he was giving her was not court ordered. This was him just doing it to take care of his ex-wife as he should. So he had every right to go, and I'm going to fine you and I'm going to take this away from you. Is it childish and petty? Yeah. But you reap what you sow. So she, in my opinion, had it coming. And I would have done it too. Their oldest daughter graduates from high school. At the graduation, Linda, the now fiance, is there. Betty is being very passive aggressive and just like snapping pictures in her face. Linda confronts her. Doesn't go well. Linda wants to report Betty to the police for breaking into their home and stealing stuff. And then Linda goes as low as Betty and breaks into Betty's house and then took a book that Betty was writing about her life the way she sees it. Betty also took the list for their wedding, their guest list, and she then calls people trying to get them not to go to the wedding. So that prompts them for this. The wedding was just at their house. They had to get security for the wedding, and Dan's brother wanted him to wear a bulletproof vest because of Betty buying a gun. And something I have in my notes up here, that I wanted to point out too, that made this movie difficult for me, is the guy that was playing Dan Broderick in the movie. He's an actor named Stephen Collins, who is a sexual deviant um that abused underage girls. He has 3 victims, underage girls that he was sexually abusing between the years of 1973 to 1994. So it's you know, as soon as I see him, I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be sympathizing with him, but he's a sexual predator. Um, and was at the time of this, it just wasn't known. Um, so yikes. Um, Dan says that he would give custody to Betty if she would just behave. One of Betty's friends tells her she needs to just move on. And so she says to her friend, he got to you too. So here we go. Now we see her get up. Her one son had been sleeping with her in her bed. She gets up. She goes over to Dan's house and breaks in. Well, technically, she doesn't break in. She stole her daughter's keys to the house and used the key to get in. She goes up to their bedroom. They're asleep in bed. She shoots them both. Dan had rolled out of bed and he was reaching for the phone. So she pulls it out of the wall and takes it out of the room and leaves them there to die. She calls someone and says, I finally shot the son of a bitch. When she's questioned about it by people, she would say that she has regrets, but not remorse. She won't accept the blame for it. Her first trial ended in a hung jury, but in her second trial, she was convicted on 2 counts of second-degree murder, getting 32 years to life, and her first time that she would be up for parole would be 2010. And that's how the first movie ends. The second movie is called Her Final Fury and picks up again from the night November 5th, 1989, when Betty murdered her ex-husband and his new wife. Um, the friend that Betty had called and said she finally shot the son of a bitch called Betty's boyfriend. That's something the movies really weren't showing you, is that the whole time this was going on, Betty had a boyfriend. She had moved on with her life too. So she had a boyfriend that, from everything I have found on the guy, he was a good guy. So the friend calls Betty's boyfriend and tells him that Betty said that she killed them. So the boyfriend and a friend of his go to Dan's house and finds them dead and calls the police. Betty goes to her kids. They tell her to turn herself in. She writes a $10,000 check to the oldest child and tells her to split it between all of the kids. And then she also took off her jewelry and gave it to him, and she turns herself in. Her son thought that Betty would behave if they lived with her, but she seemed to only care about money, is what the son said. The son feels guilty because he knew she had a gun. The prosecutor doesn't want to put the two younger sons on the stand. We find out that Betty had been pregnant a total of 9 times, but she gave birth 5 times. 1 died. She says she sacrificed herself for her marriage. Her younger daughter testified, and so did the older daughter. The older daughter talked about how her mom stole her keys. The defense expert claims this was all due to the abuse that Betty had to live through, allegedly. And we see that we get the hung jury, so it's declared a mistrial. The actual juror count was 10-2, so 10 guilty, 2 not. One guy on the jury talks to the press and says that he doesn't know what took her so long to kill Dan. Defense wants to make a deal for voluntary manslaughter and that she would only be sentenced to 20 years. Betty doesn't behave in jail, is a diva, and she was dragged to segregation. When she was misbehaving in jail, it was filmed and put on the news. Her kids saw it. Also on the news, they were showing the bodies of the kids' father and stepmother that they had to see on the news. We go into the second trial. At the second trial, they play the message, the answering machine message, where her son picked up and talked to Betty. Betty cries. She's called a narcissist, and you see her just filing her nails while people are testifying. The state expert says that Betty would be too narcissistic to kill herself because that's an excuse that was used, that Betty was going there to kill herself in front of them. She says that she didn't want custody of the kids until she could assure that she would be in the same social standing she had been in before. She said she brought the gun there just to make Dan listen to her. She wanted him to make him hear her out, and if he didn't, she'd kill herself. I don't believe that for a second. I don't know what this note says. They move or not. Okay, this is my note is gonna be because of Betty's story always changes of how Dan and Linda reacted when she went in the room. So she's saying, they could have moved, that they moved or whatever, but it was dark. So it's very confusing on what happened. And I'm being driven nuts right now by my dog constant barking downstairs. Then she says she started shooting because she panicked. She shot 5 times. There were 5 bullets in the gun, and she shot all 5 times. And she also was somebody who knew guns. She had gone to the range, and so it wasn't like this is her first time firing a weapon. She knew what she was doing. Her testimony changes from her first trial to her second. She told the psychiatrist that she had slammed Dan's hand with the gun and claimed that Dan had reached for her gun. which that didn't happen. And then she would say she doesn't remember. She would say, "I don't remember," all the time. Um, she told somebody from the press who interviewed her that there was only one choice, his funeral or hers, and she chose his. She also said that there was no pain and no blood. Verdict: guilty, second degree, consecutive 15 years to life for each murder. And hold on while I look outside because some idiots parked in front of my house. Okay. So in my notes, I don't have a lot of notes from the interviews and stuff that I watched. But I'll just start talking about that as well. But here's what I do have in my notes is okay, so she had a boyfriend for years, and then also after all this, she continued to send him letters for years, and he would give her money. And he moved on and got married, and she would write to him and try to get him to leave his wife for her. And try, as he's trying to move on with his life, she's asking for him to send her money. And he had kept all of these letters, and um he kept them in a storage facility, and at some point he doesn't pay the bill, so that's how people got their hands on all of these letters, and so the letters are all public now that you can see. Um, in watching court and hearing more of the phone calls that she left for Dan, I was really extremely bothered by her calling Dan the gay slur F word all the time as an insult. Really, really bothered me. Um, I know back at this time that word wasn't seen as bad as it is now, but it still just really bothered me. Um, he, as I've already said, he didn't steal the kids. She dropped them off and abandoned them with their father, and that he got custody due to her behavior, not his influence. And then the other thing that I saw in searching things is the infamous letter. Um, so she claims the day that she went there to kill them is because she received a letter from Dan that was threatening in nature, and it pushed her over the edge. And then when you read this letter, it's just asking her what furniture did she want? And if you don't say that you want something, he's just going to get rid of it. He's just going to sell it or whatever. And so she's telling people she took that as a threat, that she then had to go over there with a gun. I know when I watched that Dirty John Betty series, a friend of mine had asked me to watch it, I believe, and I was going through my long, dirty, yucky divorce, and they felt that I would be able to relate to it. And so when I watched that, the the Betty character in that, I did sympathize with. But now when I go and I watch her for herself in her interview with Oprah, and I watch her not just when she's on the stand, just her overall behavior in court, her disgusting behavior in court, and I listen to the actual voicemails left at Dan's, I have zero sympathy for her. And I was in a long marriage where I was mentally and emotionally abused. I didn't even realize I was, even upon our separation. I truly didn't know how manipulated I was. It's taken a lot of years for me to fully understand everything that my husband did to me. I started dating him at 14 years old. So there's a lot of history there. And so I go into this, wanting to feel sympathy for this woman being abused by her husband, and that's just not what happened here. So, watching a made for TV or Netflix movie series is not showing you what actually happened there. When you watch the trial and you watch her kids be interviewed, um, and out of the 4 kids they have, there are 2 kids that believe she's right where she should be, and there are 2 kids who think that she should be free. But let's just put it out there that the one daughter that thinks she should be free is a drug addict who has had problem after problem. So, their opinions aren't the best. And then the other one is her youngest son. And the thing that he said that I find um annoying, obnoxious, is that she's old now, and the 2 people that she was a threat to are dead now. So it would be safe to let her out. No, absolutely not. This woman is unhinged. And so who says that her boyfriend's wife, she wouldn't go after her? Who says that anybody from Linda's family who have gone to her parole hearings, which she's been denied twice, 20 she was denied in 2010. I have it written down. 2010 and 2017, and the next time she's up for a parole is 2032, but due to her age and medical history, she there's a chance that, she might be able to weasel another hearing or to be free, which bothers me. Um One of her child's significant others. You just somebody steps on her foot at a store. The woman has never admitted guilt. Everything is it's their fault. She's the abuser. He made me do what I did. It's not my fault I did it. He made me do it. So, I do not believe this woman who truly has no remorse, and she's got her fan club celebrating what she did. I don't think this woman should go free. So it doesn't matter to me that 2 of her 4 kids say she should be out. As I said, one is a drug addict and with their own issues, and the other, sorry, my virus thing just popped up on my screen. Um, uh, the other was her youngest son, and I'm appalled at what he says. The people that were in danger are dead. No, no, no. Anybody could be in danger because this woman is a psychopath. So I know there's lots of women who are abused. I know there are women. I will defend a woman who um kills her abuser. There are cases where it is, in my view, justifiable homicide. But not only is Betty guilty, she deserves to be in prison for the rest of her life and gets 0 sympathy from me. If people wanna come for me for that, you can come for me. But I'm gonna tell you to go watch. There's so many things here on YouTube that you can find where you can see, um, what she did here. Um, were Dan and Linda perfect? No. Did they do some things that maybe weren't the best? Probably. But when you're attacked like this over and over again, I'm not gonna fault them for lashing out at some point. They had an affair. It happens. The movies themselves showed that Betty was treating him horribly prior to this woman even working at his office. Her threatening divorce all the time. Her throwing a tantrum and locking him out of the bedroom. This was not a good marriage. I give her props for, she grew up with the not a silver spoon, a gold spoon in her mouth. So she came from a life of luxury, and then she marries this guy who goes to law school and medical school. And so she's working to help put her husband through school. And I can see the animosity that he now gets to have that lifestyle. But she would say that he was leaving her with nothing. But she got a house and $16,000 a month. And she had her own education that she could have gone and gotten some kind of a job. She wasn't um somebody who had no college education and no job history and was just home taking care of the kids all the time. So, and he was paying her bills. She still could have lived a nice life. She was not left destitute. He gave her not 1 but 2 cars. She had 1 vehicle that was big enough to transport the kids around, and then she had a sporty car when it's just her. She was well taken care of. 16 grand a month back then, it's nice. So, there's there's just no n I don't have any sympathy for her. She was not the abused woman that she tries to play it out to be. I get being upset that he had an affair. I get hating the other woman, but she destroyed everything around her, her children, everything. So, this is one of those cases where you really need to look into everything, which I do on every case that I can. Um, okay, Bryce says, I'm not arguing the opposite of this, but she kept saying at the trial that it was all in Dan's name. So she didn't actually have anything in her name except for the house that was sold. Right. The reason his name was still on it is because she had nothing, and the mortgage company wouldn't let the house just be put in her name, because if something's to happen, they wanna go after Dan, not her. So, that's why it was still in his name, not for something to hold over her or a negative to her. It was actually a negative to Dan that these things were still in his name. Yeah, I feel really badly for her children. So, and in looking up things on Facebook, her children and such, I see that the 2 that think that she should be in prison are constantly attacked by her supporters. So, and they do everything they can to attack Betty's kids. What Not just posting on social media, they do things like contact these people's employers and such and try to just ruin their lives because they say their mom should be in prison. So it's really ugly. Um These kids did not want any of these movies to get out. There's a book that claims it was written with the oldest daughter. The oldest daughter says she did not write this book. This person just put her name on this book, that they just want to move on with their life. And every time something else comes out on this case, they get attacked all over again. So, and they do go and visit their mother, even though they believe she belongs in prison. They do still have contact with her. They don't go see her all the time. Um, they live in, where do they live? Like Oklahoma or something. So, it's not as easy for them to visit her in prison in California. They're not in the same state, most of them. So, but this is every week when we cover a case, sure, there are things that you can watch, um, but I want everybody going and looking into all you can find too, not just, um, a movie, because Meredith Baxter one and then the Dirty John one are like, I said, Bryce, I believe, is Meredith Baxter, they make that Betty even meaner than I think Betty was, and in Dirty John, I think that Betty, they make seem more crazy than she was, so there's I don't I think both of the portrayals were wrong. So watch the court case, watch the interview, you can see updated interviews with her kids now as adults. Um, Case of Jennifer Jenkins. I don't know that I know that one. So, but there you have it. Through everything that I looked into to this case, I um did so much watching of stuff for like 2 days. She's guilty and no sympathy. So come at me, bro. Next week, we are covering the Menendez brothers. I know I've watched stuff on that before, that there's, could be 2 different sides to that, so I'm gonna have to look up what to watch and look into stuff on the Menendez brothers. I recently just joined, a gay pride organization that I'm working with, and the president of that organization asked me about my advocating for the wrongfully accused and doing these lives and all that. And she has asked me to cover the Brandon Tina case, which I don't have on the list. I've got every Wednesday filled out for this whole year. So maybe it'll be a special episode, but she would like me to do a Brandon Tina thing that she would share with her organization. If you haven't heard of the Brandon Tina case, there was an excellent movie made about it called Boys Don't Cry, I think it was. Hilary Swank plays Brandon Tina. Yep, Boys Don't Cry, Bryce. So, and I looked in that story a lot back years ago. So I would have to refresh myself on all of that. So stay tuned on Facebook for if I schedule a special night or special day that we add in the Brandon Tina case. But for now, next week is the Menendez brothers. So, and on our Justice with Jack's Facebook page, we'll be posting things for your homework to watch. So, all right, that ends today's live. I'm going to spend the rest of the day laying down. I'm allegedly COVID free, but I'm still not feeling well. So, I'm going to go lay down for the rest of the day. Thank you, everybody who joined me live. And those of you, oh, yeah, Matthew Shepard. I don't think I have him on our list for the year. Um, Um, so thank you to those who joined us live and that those who will be watching us later on. Make sure you like and subscribe so we can be found easier on YouTube. So, all right. Thank you. Investigation as usual continues and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.